Hello, welcome to another episode of Africa This Month on Ominira TV. Hi, I'm Lanre Peter, and this is where I bring to you selected issues of happenings across the continent. So let's go to Nigeria, where President Muhammadu Buhari on the 7th of August signed the amendment of the new Companies and Allied Matters Act, CAMA 2020, to replace the Companies and Allied Matters Act of 1990. Since signing the law, CAMA has caused a huge controversy in the country, with analysts and economists describing some of the new provisions in the Act as a welcome development to creating an enabling business environment that will stimulate economic growth. However, civil society organizations and especially religious associations are kicking against a section of the Act which empowers the Corporate Affairs Commission to register religious groups or reject religious groups and or even suspend board members of religious associations depending on certain conditions. This obviously isn't sitting down well with civil society organizations and religious associations, but the way I see it is part of the reasons why government exists is to make laws. And when laws are made, there would always be a group of people who would not find it suitable. Nevertheless, I hope that the federal government would organize a public hearing to consider the concerns of these parties in order to settle or resolve this issue amicably. Now to my second story, which is from Mali, where on the 18th of August, a group of high-profile army officials coordinated a military takeover that ousted President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta from office. Some hours after being taken into custody by the soldiers, the now former Malian president announced his resignation. Before the coup, there has been protest going on for weeks in Mali, and the anger has been about the corruption and terrorism which has persisted in the country for many years. You may want to know that the former President Keïta won presidential elections in 2013 and again in 2018, even though he assumed office after a coup in 2012. Although talks are ongoing to restore a constitutional government, both the African Union and the Economic Community of West African States have indefinitely suspended Mali's participation with them. For me, it was sad to see thousands of people on the streets of Bamako cheering the soldiers on when the incident occurred. And even though I understand that Malians need change now than ever, I know that a coup is a step back from democracy. While I understand Malians' need for change, my hope is that through the Economic Community of West African States and the African Union, I hope that the National Committee for the Salvation of the People, which is set up by the army officials, would be fast with transitioning to a democratic government as soon as possible. Now to my third story, which is from Kenya, where the Ministry of Information, Communications and Technology has reviewed its ICT Sector Policy of 2006. In its new 2020 policy guidelines of the ICT sector, it is stipulated that only companies with at least 30% Kenyan ownership will be licensed to provide ICT services in the country. For foreign companies looking to do business in the ICT sector of Kenya, this simply means that it has to be willing to surrender 30% shareholding to Kenyans. This rule was initially introduced in 2015 through the Finance Act before it was later deleted. Bringing it up again means one thing, that the Kenyan government is determined to do this. However, it must be known that rules like this have consequences. While the government anticipates that this policy will create thousands of new startups for the Kenyan economy, it must also keep in mind that this will scare foreign investors because this will scare foreign investors because already 30% of their shares is off the table. And now to my last story, which is an interesting one from Somalia, where a new survey of global mobile data by cable.co.uk ranks Somalia as number 7 on the list of countries with the cheapest mobile data plans in the world. Contrary to what one might think, 8 out of the top 50 cheapest countries for mobile data plans in the world are in sub-Saharan Africa, but it is the cheapest in Somalia, where the average price of 1 gigabyte of mobile data is 50 cents. This is an interesting development, especially for any country in Africa. And that's because we live in a digital world, where we live in a digital era where if you do not go digital, you will get disrupted and you may not survive it. So I hope that other countries in Africa would go the way of Somalia by removing regulatory barriers for telecommunication, for the telecommunication sector to be able to provide cheap mobile data plans for Africans. And this is the end of Africa This Month. Thank you for your time, and please share with your friends.